Welcome back to my channel, and today, as the description of this video implies, we will be, excuse me, we will be starting out by retrieving a vehicle from either the barn, the auction house, or the junkyard. We're going to start by any barn locations we might have and then move on to the junkyard, see if there's anything there. If not, we'll move to the auction house and purchase something to rebuild and sell off. And once we're finished with that, we'll go ahead and rebuild an engine or two, maybe three, and depending on what blocks we might have in the inventory. Then we'll go ahead and move to salvaging parts and taking orders for the shop. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started here. Get started. I'm just gonna start by switching it up a bit and not going into the shop. Just going over here. It doesn't look like we currently have any barn locations in there, so we're just gonna come up over here and look in this case, see if we might be able to find something. Now if you do hear an echo in the background, that's just me confirming some information on my end, so I do apologize for that. I did get some bonus salvage parts there and another case, so we'll go ahead and open up that case. And we got some bonus credits there, about 1,606. That's pretty good. Let's see, we got 851 experience points. So we are up to 9,008 salvage parts. That is an all-time high for me. And judging by how many salvage parts you could see that were already in my inventory, it's only set to get higher. Now with that, since we still don't have any barn locations on the map, we'll just move over to the junkyard here and see what we can find. You may see me stop here and there. I have yet to eat all of my breakfast. I kind of got off to a late start today as I am feeling a little under the weather, so that's why it might be a little more quiet episode than you're used to. But, or stream, I should say, than you're used to. But, excuse me. Let me see here. Salem Fastback probably wouldn't bring in much money, especially now with 221,000 on the engine and the body. But a cool build. I might get it anyway. Let me just look around here, see what else we might find. We might find a rip. I might find a rip. Oh, look at that. That's a classic. Chieftain Bandit. That was one of the first vehicles I added to my parking garage, I believe. Look at all those engines you could put in that thing. That is a definite possibility as to the vehicle I'm going to purchase here. That's not. It is an Edgewood Hellcat. Normally I would go ahead and purchase it because it is a Hellcat, and that seems to be my #1 law of vehicle purchasing. But today I'm going to skip on that because And the very last stream that you may have seen on my Twitch feed, that's twitch.tv/JASHN2000, we did a rebuild of an Edgewood Hellcat and ended up selling it for a profit of about 40,000, as we didn't put too many aftermarket parts in it. I mean, we could have gotten more, but settled for 40,000. And frankly, rather not do anywhere near that settling point. Honestly, if I wanted to, I could just go to the auction house and get something that would give me a value of at least 100,000 in profit. But at my current credits level, I think, I'm alright with that for the time being. With a lesser profit for switching up on the type of vehicle for a change. It's nice to change it up every now and then. This looks like an old Crown Vic. Yeah, it has 100,000. Says it's a 96 Bolt Cape MK7. 222 horsepower on the engine. It could fit a V8 dual overhead cam supercharged. That's kind of cool. I don't think we streamed any builds of that particular engine on this channel, so that's pretty unique. Single overhead cam, FME on a V8 engine. Yeah, that's really unique. And with that, I think we're gonna have to rebuild this vehicle. It's just too unique not to. So we'll go ahead and purchase it, accept that, and move it on to the garage. And let me check this one more thing here, see if we might be able to find anything here. As a matter of fact, let me check this one as well. A lot of times what you'll find is near the vehicle that you may or may not purchase, you'll find parts for that vehicle as well that you can repair, so you don't have to go and purchase them. But with that said, let's go ahead and get back to the garage. So we have 471 credits with a 15% discount. That brings us to 401 credits. We'll go ahead and make that purchase. Alright, so here's our Crown Vic looking Bolt. We'll go ahead and start by moving that over to the car wash. At the car wash, yeah. Move that there. Move that there. And we will move it to lift A. Look how big that engine is. That is very wide in comparison to a few others. I mean, the rough design of the engine is pretty similar to varied other engines, but it is pretty big. Guess I got plenty of room for it in the Crown Vic. We'll just start like normal by removing the body parts. Or in the bolt. Sorry, I said the ground vacuum. Alright, so let's go ahead and put it up on the lift here, and we'll start removing the tires first, and then we'll move to the mechanical parts. Alright, so we got those tires removed. Now we're going to go ahead and start removing the mechanical parts in the back first. I always like that transmission as it only requires 3 bolts to be removed in order to remove the gearbox. And we're just going to remove that engine, put it over on the stand. For teardown, before we get started with repairing the frame, we can see we have a 33% frame, so we're going to go ahead and use the welder to restore it back to OEM condition. Now with that, let's just go ahead and remove these last few engine bay parts here. Not used to seeing these a lot with junkyard finds, but sometimes you'll still see some parts in there that people haven't taken for their own vehicles. Alright, so while we're doing that, let's go ahead and resurface some brake disc, and we'll get started with the engine teardown. That's interesting. How these look like arms, but they're not. You know, they even got the bolt there. You would think they'd be rocker arms, but they're not. Alright, so we did get that teardown completed. We can put the next brake disc up there for resurfacing and move on over to the mechanical parts repair, followed by the repair of the body parts. so now we can go ahead and take that brake disc off there and put on another one and start repairing the body parts. There we go, so we can go ahead and take that brake disc off and put on the next one. Now with that, I am going to go ahead and take a look in here and just try to get an idea of what engines can go in here. We got the Ford Coyote, might put that one in there. We got a Boss rear-wheel drive from Ford and the V8 supercharged, so let's see if I have any of those engine configurations in my warehouse here. We do have the Coyote. I thought we had a Boss in here. Not looking like we do. Have a BU2. Must have put the Boss engine in another build. We'll go ahead and take out one of these Ford Coyotes and just put that in there. But before we do that, did want to grab that brake disc from that last. And we can go ahead and put that engine in there. Alright, so we have that engine in there looking pretty cool. Looks like it's made for it. Now, we'll move to the mechanical parts. Part of these, never mind. Alright, so I'm just gonna separate those off while separating the tire from the rim. Oh, that was it. Just wanted to make sure. Now we can go ahead and repair those rims. Rim Classic 3 17-inch. Looks like we got about 3 of those. 2 and 3. Let's check in here and see if we might have any more. Oh, that is another one. We do. Actually, we have 2 more, so go ahead and purchase. Well, grab that one out of there. And, oh, sorry about that. In the background, that's my phone. I think you'd call that person a sibling. You know how those go, if you have one. Let me see. Tires, that's what we need. So before we go over there, what I'd like to do is just go ahead and add the front and rear tires just to make sure the size is the same. In order to get those added on the front, we do have to complete the wheel well construction. So when I completed that, now we already know the rims are the same because they were the same when we looked for the rims in the inventory and repaired them. Since 3 of them are the same, that means they're the same. There we go. So we got both wheel wells built up. We got now we got those tires down there. It looks like 17. We'll come over here. Yep, so that's gonna be 1750, 255. 1750, 255. Need about 4 of those. We'll go ahead and add that tire to the rim. Sorry if I sound really loud. Battling sickness right now. Not really sure what it is. Feels like a small cold, but for everybody else it looks like a flu. So it's probably a flu, and my body's just, you know, stronger immune system because I tend to keep in shape and eat right. So it doesn't affect me as hard as others. Which was the intention. You know, you either suffer in the gym or you suffer later on. I prefer to suffer in the gym. It's a lot less suffering overall. Alright, so we got those tires added, and should be balanced at this point. Yep. So we can go ahead and add those to the vehicle. And it looks like we forgot a fuel pump back here. So we'll get that added. Got that fuel pump there. Now we could add the components in the engine bay. All those parts there. Oh, we're gonna need to purchase a new ECU. And probably, no, air filter should be good. Surprisingly enough, we have the cover, so we can go ahead and start putting those clips on there. Looks like a radiator housing fan is needed. So, radiator housing fan. There we go. And we got that in there. Now we got that ECU. Put that fuse box in and we'll put in all the fuses. For the fuse box cover, you do need to go into electric, probably because it's shielded. And now we can go ahead and start filling up the fluids. Normally I would put on the body parts before we do this, but since we're already in the engine bay, I figure we might as well start filling them up. Alright, so we got all those filled up. Let's go ahead and fill up the oil here. Yeah, pretty certain we did not have any of those parts. Okay. Let's just see. Well, we can't get any aftermarket, it looks like. I'm not seeing any options for this vehicle as far as the aftermarket parts go. So we'll just go back over here and get all of the parts. That's actually a first. I've never had a build where none of the parts for that vehicle were repairable. Oh, as far as the body parts go. And none of them fit. So that's a definite first. Alright. Well, we should have all of those on. And at this point, we will move it over to the car wash. At the car wash. It's like the beginning and end of this build always starts and ends in the car wash. And we will move on over to the paint shop. And let's just see what kind of factory colors might be available. I do like the gray. That kind of looks cool, so we'll go with that. See what kind of details. You can make it into a police car. That's kind of cool. Or a sheriff. That is pretty cool. I think we'll go ahead and give the cops a new cruiser. You know what? There. Give them a new sheriff unit there. It's got a good enough engine for it. And we'll go ahead and move it over to the dyno. And start that on up. Started out with 437 horsepower, 6,560 RPM, 401 foot-pounds of torque, 4,205 RPM, and we ended with 730 horsepower, 6,570 RPM, 637 foot-pounds of torque at 4,400 RPM, for a total gain of 68% on the horsepower. That puts us at 293 increase in horsepower and a 59% gain in torque, putting us at an increase of 236 foot-pounds of torque. Well, that puts us at a drag rating of B318 if the cops get crazy and decide they want to take it out to the track. Which with this vehicle, should at least be considered. That's pretty powerful. More powerful than most of the vehicles in my parking garage right now. Right, so with that said, let me go ahead and put in some interior parts here. And we'll need to add that. Looks like we actually already have those other two in storage, so I'll make that 3. So that was kind of nice. But we do still have to get the bench seat. Oh, look at that. Why not? We'll make it a different color, Color for the law and a color for the criminals in the back. Criminals will probably appreciate that color, actually. Now you see, it kind of matches the door panel interior. You got black on the top and that mellow yellow on the bottom. That's kind of cool. Anyways, we'll move over here. And we can see the body is at 100%, frame is at 100%, parts at 100%, interior is at 100%. So with that, we will go ahead and see about selling it with a part value of 33,793 credits, body value of 12,750 credits, performance part value of 31,702 credits, condition bonus of 28,285 credits. We brought the vehicle for 6,330 credits. We'll be selling it for 106,530 credits. That leaves us with a profit of 100,200 credits. That is actually pretty good. So we'll go ahead and sell it over to the local police there. Well, federal police, I guess. And that leaves us at 1.5 million. There you go. We sold it to the imaginary police. Alright, so now that we got that sold, we might as well move over here. See what kind of engines we have in our inventory. Engines. Oh, be more definitive and say engine black. There we go. That's what it was telling me. Oh, we got an engine black V8 single overhead cam FME. That's rare, so we might as well see what we could find for that. Now here, the last engine in the list. Has 222 horsepower, 4,975 RPM, with 265 foot-pounds of torque, at 3,660 RPM factory. So we'll go ahead and add that here. And get that engine block added. And we could start the rebuild of this engine, so to speak. Gonna need a crankshaft and a water pump pulley. And as usual, the filter. Oh, don't need that for this one. Alright, let's go ahead and put in the pistons. We'll put in some aftermarket ones. Because why not add here a little to the horsepower? Gonna have to purchase about 4 more of those. And get these headers put on. Since we need to purchase them anyway, might as well go aftermarket. In the interest of keeping that exhaust manifold unified in the type of part we're using, we'll just buy an OEM exhaust manifold for this side as well. That's pretty handy. The caps in one unit instead of multiple caps being placed on the unit. Just purchase it all together. Looks like we're gonna need another fuel rail as well, so we'll go and purchase that OEM just to keep that unified. And as for the ignition coils, we could get 4 of those in the tuning shop there just to keep those unified. Or in sequence, so to speak. Alright, we can go ahead and take that engine off, and we'll go ahead and put it into the warehouse and get started on the next engine build. Let's see what we have in the form of blocks. We have a V8 OHV, so might as well go ahead and build that out, but I also have a, what is that, a V8 OHV CGM. That seems interesting. I got about 3 CGM, well, 4 CGM options, yep, in total. Let's go with this one, the most obscure one, see if we might be able to build that. Which we can. Cool. Well, let's get started with that. And we'll add those pistons. So we'll go ahead and remove that here from the engine stand. And we'll move it on into the warehouse. That being done, let's go ahead and build out another CGM engine here. I'll build that one to add variety to it. Have one for the future. These. And why not get aftermarket on those? Suppose we can get that aftermarket as well. Well, the exhaust manifold. Alright, so we did go ahead and put that engine back into the warehouse there. And instead of getting started on another engine build, let me see. Well, with all of these engines built, I mean, we have a little bit extra time than we normally do after that one engine or vehicle rebuild and sell. So I figure I might check out the junkyard and see if they have another vehicle there we might be able to look into purchasing. Sixland's a cool one, but I think I'm gonna skip on that. That's also a nice one. I'm gonna skip on that. That looks like an old Regal. I'm gonna skip on that one as well. That looks a little small for my taste. Again, a little small. Alright, so with that, I'm just going to return over to the garage. And let's go ahead and check out the auction house here. See if we might find anything there. But before we do that, let's see if we might be able to see if we have a crate in our inventory by any chance. That just showed up. Showed up. No crate. So we'll just head on out to the auction house. Now we do have a Hammer Delstrail S 2012, and you know I like to pick these up as they do bring in a great deal of income. So we'll go ahead and start that bid. And with that, I'm going to go back to the garage. Alright, so we now have this, and we'll just go ahead and move that to the car wash, get it washed up for whenever we do decide to go ahead and rebuild it. And I'll go ahead and remove some of the engine bay parts as well. I'm gonna first have to drain that fluid. Doesn't look like we're being given the option there, so I think it's already drained. And we'll move the engine bay parts on this end too. Alright, so all those are removed. And I think we'll go ahead and remove this into the parking from here. Well, I do see we have 2 viewers here, it looks like recently joined, so I would like to welcome you to the stream. Right now we're just rebuilding engines from engine blocks I previously had in my inventory. I got an engine block V6B. I don't think we've rebuilt one of those yet on stream, so let's go ahead and start by getting that layout. not sure what engine layout we could build with the V6B, but we'll go ahead and give this one a try. See if that works out. As everyone is now aware of that, we can go ahead and do that. I'm not sure if that was the V6B or not, but it is a V6 engine box. So we'll go ahead and build there. so I did go ahead and get that completed there, so I'll remove this and put this one into the warehouse for later builds. There you go. And with that being put into the warehouse, let's go ahead and just do one more build here, and then we'll move over to order taking. Well, that's after the scrapping parts and all that. So that, I'm going to go ahead and take this off the lift and move it over into the warehouse. Another completed engine build. So now with that, we will go over here and start salvaging parts. Alright, I'm back. So let's go ahead and get started on this. 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 2, 1, excuse me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, One, four, five, two. Alright, so we got that completed. I'm just gonna go over here and start taking a few orders. Let's see what has the lowest count. Looks like it has the lowest count, so we'll take that in first. Move it over to lift 1. And go back to the orders. Set the lowest count, so we'll take that second. And move it over to lift B. Now with that being said, you don't always have to choose the one with the lowest count. That's just something that I choose to do personally. You could choose to, pick any order you would like. I think there is an achievement though for picking like the next one in the list or something like that, but you can always check through those achievements and find that out. The first one is to inspect and replace filters. It looks like the air filter, fuel filter, and oil filter. Change to oil. Repair all engine faults. Replace timing related parts. And the gearbox shifts rough, so let's just start with the timing related parts. Since we will be removing the water pump, we'll go ahead and drain the coolant fluid. Some engines you have to remove the head covers before getting off the timing cover. Kind of a pain. Both timing belts will need to be replaced here. Let's add them to the list just in case. Also got 2 cam gears that'll need replaced. Might as well do that while we're in here. .57% being the base. Replace that water fountain. Gave him a couple of free cog gears there. That is also going to need to be replaced. Going to need to purchase that. Well, we will come over here and make that purchase. I think in my illness, I may have, yeah, shouldn't have put those on too soon. I missed the intake manifold. Shouldn't be sick. Look at me, being sick. Who do I think I am? Wait a minute, this one may not be that one. Oh, my bad, this is another model where you don't need to do that. There we go. Thought I made a mistake there. Turns out I did not. Mistake canceled. this gearbox off to check the gears running badly. Already know we gotta replace the gearbox itself. Oh, all that looks good. Go ahead and add that to the list. Well, let's get that oil filter changed out here. And drain that oil. And an air filter needs replaced. So, start by removing the caps. And we'll remove that air filter. See if we have one, which we do. And put that back on. Have a lot of clip B's. Before we move forward to that, let's find these other engine faults. I'm thinking that right there is one of them, so we'll just go ahead and get this belt removed. In order to do that, we will need to remove this one first again. And get the tension belt tensor off to remove that. And actually, before we do that, we will want to drain the steering fluid. Then we could remove it without the fluid spilling all over the place. Yeah, let's see if we have another one to do. Oh, we could put that back on. And the belt along with the tensor. Alright. So let's go ahead and fill the steering fluid. Followed by the coolant fluid. to check the other engine faults. I'm going to run the compression test on the engine. Two bad piston rings, which is terrible, because that means that I should have ran that to begin with, as we will need to tear apart the entire engine to get to those. So, while we're doing that, let's just come over here and highlight those, so as not to tear out both sides if need be, which we'll still have to do, so. Alright. Alright, so we will have to redrain the coolant fluid. And we'll put it up on the lip. Drain the oil. And take off that oil pan. Alright, so now we could put those pistons back in. Along with the new rings. Oop, was that a 56? No, it's a 59, which is compliant with the 57 minimum. And 63 with the new rings. this point, I think I'm going to call it an early end to the stream. Unfortunately, it appears to be freezing on us up again. I'm attributing this to a hacker now. You know, no way to tell for certain, but hackers everywhere. My stuff keeps getting hacked. I'm kind of tired of it. So I'm going to go ahead and attribute this to a hacker. And, you know, close the stream out a bit earlier. I am a little sick, so I think it might be a good idea. But I do appreciate you guys for watching. I promise you, my normal streams won't be this bad. But do appreciate you watching. Please check out my Twitch, my primary Twitch channel at twitch.tv/JASHN2000. You could also check out my secondary Twitch stream at twitch.tv/JASHN2000. For the primary one, I generally stream on Monday and Wednesday between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. and on Friday between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. I'll be streaming on YouTube. Please feel free to subscribe